Hiya, and welcome back to Arches. The game that teaches us that Devon and Cameron, I swear, you two cannot go longer than 5 minutes without having an argument. Get some therapy. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Seeming to disregard Devon's advice to take it slow, Artie starts cramming jerky into his muzzle, moaning like Cameron. Snacks are so much better when you're high versus like an actual meal, you know. Cameron doesn't know but nods enthusiastically. I can't believe this. Devon's tone is one of actual disbelief. Arturo glances lazily at Cameron. Is Devon being a fucking Nazi about everything new? Or have you been putting up with this for a while? It's weird knowing how he acted in college. Cameron leans against the tailgate, smiling at Devon. I've been doing some dangerous shit during our investigation and Devon's just trying to keep us safe. He's wonderful and I love him. Devon looks at him and just gives him a small smile without saying anything. Yeah, you might need help if you might want to get therapy if you can relate to Cameron. I don't know. Oh, you gotta let me in on what's going on between you two, because I think we can all admit that it's been super awkward so far. Hasn't it though? This must be fucking weird for you. They both laugh and the obnoxious snorts that Cameron makes only makes him snort louder. It's just not really Hang on, sorry. It's just not really something that you need to know about. I know that sounds rude, but I'm psychic. Dev's eyes widen and Cameron doesn't help to fill the silence that follows. Huh, like, you can see the future, or I can see ghosts. Maybe the future. I don't really know how it works, I'm just trying to figure it out. Cameron hadn't really given it much thought, but seeing the future seemed to be part of it. Dude! That's fucking awesome! Devon shifts around and Cameron can tell he's not exactly happy about him talking to Artie like this. He has to wonder why. Shit, I think my aunt was super psychic. Super psychic as opposed to what sort of psychic? Nah, she had like tarot cards and shit, and told half my siblings that they were up to shady shit that the cartel was gonna disappear them. Well, did they get disappeared? I mean, one died after routine surgery, but the cartel wasn't involved. As far as I know. Aha! That's so sad! I don't know why I laughed. It's cool, I get it. So, not really psychic, at least not like himself. Feels wrong to him, but Cameron feels almost dismissive of anyone that doesn't see things like he does. He's different, in a good way, and for once he feels like he can admit that. He had seen his friend's death a few months before it happened, and he'd had dreams that were so accurate to the future that it had seemed almost like deja vu. I'd crack my neck. Hiya. I want to go for a walk. Everything looks really neat right now. Dope, let's go see some ghosts. Devon sighs heavily, but helps Cameron down from the trunk, the coyote leaning against him as they start walking. This is horrible. At this point, Devon has resigned himself to the fact that Cameron is going to do what he wants, and all Devon can do is respect his decision. While Artie reminding him more than once that Cameron as an adult had been annoying, it's also true that Devon has no right to take that decision away from Cameron. Still, there's a part of him that hurts that Cameron would disregard his own feelings on the matter. Especially after opening up to him by the lake. But Devon also disregarded Cameron's feelings when bringing him here, at least to an extent. An extent that the bear had thought was reasonable. Now it seems he's reaping what he sowed. Still, Devon remembers and brings up something that should keep them from venturing too far into the town. We should only go as far as the motel. Cam and I had a brush with some gun-toting redneck near the other side of town last night. I'm going to stop using that. Whoa, really? Cameron giggles. One yelled at us from really far away and Dev ran so hard he got a gnarly cramp in his thigh. Again, he had a shotgun. Doesn't that bother you guys? As Artie shrugs. Man, I've had guys flash their guns at me on the road because I flipped them off. Every one of them is too chicken shit to shoot. And this was even when I flew the old Azul E Blanco on my car. Well, luckily for you, people here don't even know what that is. Now, if I were to mount a Sonoran flag on my Jeep while also flipping the bird. Anyway, I say we stick around this area, no further than motel. You should be more careful though, Artie. I swear, I heard a road rage story every few months where someone gets shot. Honestly, Cam, if that's my fork in the road, I say let it happen. You gotta live, and if that involves getting shot on the freeway because you made fun of someone's driving, then so be it. Is it really a fork in the road if the other option is death? Yeah, one of the roads just leads to a dead end or something. I don't know, I'm high as hell right now. I think the metaphor is more appropriate for long-term consequences, though. Devon just smirks at the meaningless banter about fork-in-the-road metaphors that must seem so profound to them right now. You know, my mom always talks about her fork-in-the-road being in the 5th grade, and that it led to her having a shitty life. Seems kinda young to have a decision like that come up. I think she just likes to be able to point at a moment everything went wrong. But anyway, they'd been hyping up this space shuttle launch for months, and she decided she was going to be an astronaut. She went to the public library for the first time in her life to check out books about astrophysics and stuff. Dev suddenly has a good idea of where this is going. Then, while the whole class was watching liftoff on TV, it exploded. And even though her teacher turned it off and went about the day like nothing happened, they all knew those astronauts were dead. It made her question all her plans, and she drifted through life after that, not knowing what she wanted to be anymore. Damn, that's fucked up, man. Do you know why that happened, by the way? Cameron gives Dev a confused look, and so does Artie, like they forgot he's even there. Why my mom didn't know what to do? It's because she watched clips of smiling, waving astronauts getting on a space shuttle that then exploded live on TV, Devon. Devon sighs, realizing he needs to make things more clear for this high version of Cameron. No, I mean, why that space shuttle exploded. Because rockets and fuel can cause explosions. Right? Oh, hiya. No. Well, yeah. But mainly, Dev refocuses his train of thought. It's because I didn't listen to their engineers. You know, the people that stand between you and a pancake shopping mall or a freeway bridge collapsing during rush hour or an exploding space shuttle. Dev raises his brows meaningfully at Cameron, though weirdly enough he realizes that he's mainly talking to himself. Always listen to your engineer. His half-assed attempt at making the conversation about listening to his advice quickly backfires, though. Well, if those engineers were like the ones at Pueblo, I'm willing to bet more people should have listened to them if they didn't act like such know-it-all pricks. Someone's still sore from having to drop out of their major. Fuck you too. Hey, come on guys, we're feeling good right now. You know, Artie, I've dated an engineer for 5 years now. They gotta talk down to you to do their job. Cameron walks against Devon and playfully nudges him with the shoulder. Even though Cameron is playing along with what Devon started, hearing his boyfriend say that actually stings a little bit. Vibe, I don't talk down to you. I don't mean to anyway. Arturo makes a face and Dev does his best to pretend like he didn't see it. Hey, I'm just kidding. I agree with you. If people let disasters happen because they're too proud to listen to experts, then fuck them. Maybe if they had, my mom would be on the space station right now. Maybe. Mistakes happen, though. It reminds us to keep our guard up, because it always slips eventually, you know? I think I do. Dev smiles, pleasantly surprised that Cameron seems to be heeding his advice to be careful. For the first time in a day, he finds himself starting to relax a little. The end of this bizarre nightmare is in sight. They're already starting to circle back around to the car. You know, it's kind of amazing to think about how you two are still together. That brings Dev out of his reverie rather quickly. Why's that? Well, all our other friends didn't last more than a few years out of college. And if you think about it, you and Cam are probably the biggest opposites out of all those relationships. I think the most important thing in a relationship is getting along. If you can do that for 99% of the time, you're probably set. That and having different hobbies and spending time apart adds to a healthy relationship. You don't get along, though. You don't get along 99% of the time, though. You argue like every 5 minutes. God damn. Now, granted, disagreements are a part of a healthy relationship. It's actually I think it's actually very fucking weird if you and your partner agree on everything. Like, you don't have any disagreements on anything. I think that's just, I'm pretty sure that's really fucking weird. But like, You don't get along 99% of the time. I mean, you probably will, and it's perfectly normal to argue and have fights. If you agree on everything, then, that's probably not a good thing. I think they only agreed on one thing. Let's not hit the thing that's in the road. What would I do? Knock them out and drive to safety. At some point, that is take my losses and leave them. That is, Raj, that is not an easy question to answer. I feel like that is not an easy question to answer. Because, on one hand, I firmly believe in free will. I believe that everyone has the right to do their own thing. However, I'm also aware that sometimes having the right to do your own thing can get you killed. However, and I feel like this is something that especially Cameron and Artie don't really get, because here's the thing. If we're speaking logically, which right now, because they're in a dangerous situation, we should be using logic, I feel like Devon should be the one calling the shots. Because of the simple fact that, if I'm not mistaken, his brain is more logically wired. And because of that, I'm pretty sure he should be able to put feelings and emotions aside and do what is necessary to just make sure they're all alive. And if that means knocking them the fuck out and leaving, then he should knock them the fuck out and leave. That's just my thoughts. Because that's just how I feel about it. You can feel something else about it, and that's totally okay. Man, sometimes you sound like a self-help relationship book or something. Maybe that's why. I think it's just that we're both reasonable people. That's usually all you need. Well, I'm really happy it all worked out, especially after your first relationship. Honestly, looking back, I was basically setting Cam up to be your rebound. It wasn't really meaning to, I wasn't really meaning to, of course. You know, I forgot how I somehow always managed to say the wrong thing at the wrong time, Artie. Well, it has been a long time, so I'm interested. I just wonder who you were with before me. All you've said is that they were like a month-long fling. Artie seems to notice this as the go-ahead to reveal irrelevant and embarrassing information about Dev's previous love life. He was a fox named Jesus, right, Devon? I never brought him up because the relationship lasted literally 2 months. A fox, huh? Cameron says it in a contemplative way, in a way that makes Dev uneasy, even though the coyote is probably just truly curious. Well, yeah, it was short, but when he dumped Dev like he went the full chick flick route and laid in bed for a week eating ice cream. I was so worried about him that I set the two of you up. Devon's muzzle burns under the fur, even hotter than the heat of the desert. Why did I ever tell you anything in confidence? Well, it's more like I saw it, like the entire dorm did. Is that true, Devon? To Devon's dismay, Cameron sounds genuinely interested now, combined with a genuine degree of concern. You seemed so put together when I first met you. Dev avoids answering. It wasn't you that set us up. You mentioned me to your girlfriend's friend who happened to be Cameron's friend. She set us up. Yeah, you can word it how you like, but But if I didn't remember them mentioning the super hot guitar coyote, too bad he's gay, dude. Who knows where you'd be now? Yeah. That's me. And less than a week later, I knew it worked because I walked in on the two of you fucking. Oh god, why are you bringing that up? That's horrible. Yeah, why? Because it was funny. Besides, I walked in on like a dozen people going at it at some point. I actually have a story similar to that. I have a story similar to that, and it is awful. It is awful. Before I started streaming, my second semester of college, like, ever. No, I didn't walk in on anyone. I didn't do that. Instead, I could fucking hear it.
Huh?
The people who lived directly above me, they were, yeah. The furniture was moving. That's it. Hell, back when the university library was open 24/7.
Oops!
You had a 50-50 chance of walking in on a pair of rats getting it on at 2 a.m. Arturo prattles on to Cameron while Devon sulks behind a bit. The bear finds himself wishing he'd been the one to tell Cameron about all of that. The way Artie described it made him sound unstable in a way. The fox had been cute, but Devon never really got to know him before Jesus abruptly broke it off. When he first met Cameron, on the other hand, he was cute and hot, especially with the guitar and voice, but that was just the surface stuff. Cameron was also nice and considerate and thoughtful and complex in ways that the bear is still trying to fully understand. Devon had girlfriends in high school so people wouldn't get suspicious, but the fox had been what he considered his first real relationship, and he'd simply overreacted to his first real breakup. Looking back on his 19-year-old self, it's hard to understand why it felt like the end of the world. If Cameron were to disappear from his life now, it would be the end of the world that he knows at least. Maybe if for some terrible reason it did come to an end, he would look back 10 years from now and think the same about his 25-year-old self, but he doubts that. 5 years is a long time, and he plans to spend the rest of his life with Cameron. Unlike that fling in college, losing Cameron would be a traumatic, life-changing disaster. Just thinking about it now makes his throat tighten. The abyss he's felt below his feet since he was 12, that emotional scar left him over the last traumatic event in his life, seems to yawn a bit wider. The bear thinks back to the point he's been trying to make about engineers helping to avoid catastrophic failures, and why it had felt like he had been talking to himself. There's a moment in which recovery is impossible, or a chain reaction of small disasters are set off that then mushroom into a tragedy. Maybe he'd been reminding himself about what could happen, or maybe he's realizing something that's already happened. Why does it feel like he's already past that point? The point where he made a decision at a literal fork that set in motion a cascade of failures. There's no reason for him to feel that way considering they're minutes away from leaving, but it feels hopeless now. He ignored all the signs and he turned right. Ignored all the signs, just like all those officials who ignored signs from their department stores, bridges, dams, and spaceships. At least until everything fell apart. Time passes quickly, and bantering with Artie and Devon had made Cameron forget what he was trying to do in the first place. Wonders if maybe that had been Devon's goal. He should be keeping his mind open, not covering up potential spirits with loud, obnoxious laughs as they reminisce about their college days. Because right now he's feeling something strange that he can't explain. Alright, ready to head out? Man, we didn't even find anything scary. You don't look for scary things, you let them happen, and nothing happens, so Cameron can't leave now. Hey, Dev, please don't be mad at me. Dev doesn't say anything, and that makes Cameron squirm. Aw, you guys gonna fight again? Can I have 5 minutes alone, please? No. Just 5 minutes, I swear, and we'll be done. Cameron, I can feel something. I don't know what, but you guys are making it hard to hear. Cameron, the motel is right there. I'm not leaving you here. Dev's tone is so resolute, so unshaken that Cameron shrinks into himself, realizing he's reached Dev's limit. Artie clears his throat. Not to button, but how about this? Me and Dev can stand at the end of the road over there so we can see you. Then we can make sure nothing bad happens. Please, Dev, I just really need to figure something out, and it's gonna bother me forever if I don't. Please? Dev is clearly taken aback by Cameron's intensity, which had been Cameron's intention. Something is wrong, and he needs to confirm it. Is what you're doing safe? Could it hurt you? I don't know. I don't think so. It has more to do with me than ghosts, though. Dev doesn't say anything for several seconds, seeming to be weighing multiple scenarios in his head. Okay, we'll be up the road. Please be careful, and yell if you need us. Okay, thank you. Dev kisses Cameron on the head for a long moment before walking away up the road. Artie looks back and forth, confused before following Dev.
It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water.
Time to
It's
stare
time to
into
drink
the
water.
abyss. That is hell.
It's time to drink water.
Alone now, Cameron can tell that something is definitely different. He can't put his finger on it, but it's not just him being residually high. It's almost like he can see more clearly, like he can see more. Meaning in nothing. Cameron isn't sure what to think about this. The weed is making it happen, though, just like he hoped it would. But it's weak. He can hear the voices of those who have passed just barely playing along with the wind. Just for a fraction of a second, he thinks of trying opioids once more, and how that would truly help him see things. The thought leaves him physically repulsed to the point that he almost retches, the visceral reaction surprising even him. 3 years of substance abuse, the death of his mother, the deaths of his friends. He vividly remembers those 2 weeks when he quit cold turkey, hiding away in his friend's basement in a pool of sweat, shaking, having every bathroom issue possible, wanting to rip through his fur and skin, run into the street, and run into a car. He cried constantly. He hated himself. He was worthless. He needed to die. He had to die. But at the end of those 2 weeks, he'd made it. It was hard, but like his friends would always tell him, withdrawals aren't the hard part. The hard part is finding pills in a friend or relative's medicine cabinet months, even years later. The hard part is crushing those pills up in neat little lines of powder, staring at them, telling yourself you don't need it. You don't have to do it. But you do it. You always do it, no matter how many times you get clean. Someone like Cameron needed something else to happen to keep him clean. And that's Devon, because the shame and heartache of Devon finding out wouldn't ever be worth it. But knowing this moment, any moment, can be far better with a single pill, unfortunately that feeling will always be there. So no, this is stupid and he won't touch drugs again, not even weed. The window. Oh fuck. At first, Cameron is only surprised. This is something he hasn't seen in months. Not since October of last year. But still, he kind of hoped this would happen. This creature, this manifestation, is somehow connected to his abilities. He'd always thought it to be mental illness. But now that he knows there's something more to all of this, maybe it's a sign. A harbinger of sorts that might lead him to important visions. Still, something about it is especially unsettling this time. Something is wrong. Something is different, and it's more than just the raincoat monster appearing. Arches and half circles. His train of thought cuts off as he notices a barely discernible movement from the creature. Aside from a handful of moments in the past that felt like glitches more than anything else, the creature never moved. It was always like a cardboard cutout. It's no longer cardboard, though. It's breathing. What's happening? He's not thinking right. This thing isn't part of Echo. Cameron knows that. So why is it acting different, more alive, as if the town is amplifying it? Maybe it's just the setting, his nerves, the weed. But now he's realizing how strange it is that he's been so relieved to find out he's psychic. Doesn't he still have problems? It's not like all of those issues were just solved. Are those the voices of the dead or something else? Are those ghosts or hallucinations? Is there a difference? Suddenly, a whole new wave of anxiety washes over the canine. Just like that, he's not sure about anything anymore. He'd had such a beautiful, life-changing epiphany, and now he looks up the road where Dev and Artie are, but they're not there, and Cameron stares, wondering what's real anymore. He looks back at the monster standing in that window. If it is a harbinger of something important, he should go into that room. Otherwise, he'll just leave here knowing he's crazy, knowing he's on the verge of a fucking psychotic break. Oh, damn it, what am I doing? And then he's moving for the window, for that monster, the whispers growing and the distortions twisting. Devon watches his boyfriend in the distance carefully, feeling his anxiety come down a bit as Cameron just seems to stand there. So, what's the deal, man? You know what I'm talking about. What happened? Did he see some fucked up shit earlier because you seemed really, really worried? For a moment, Devon is glad Artie cuts him off. But then, hey, what the fuck? Ah! Artie is already running up the road toward his car. Devon looks and sees a man standing next to the car, the hood up. Devon isn't sure what to do at first, either go to Cameron or follow Artie. Cameron seems oblivious in the distance, which is probably for the best, and it doesn't look like the man is carrying any sort of weapon, so deciding his friend is going to need help, he runs after Artie. Dev runs up to the car just as the old weasel-looking man headbutts Artie in the face. Ah, fuck, son of a bitch! Artie stumbles and falls on his ass. Hey! The weasel regards him coolly, seemingly not bothered by the fact that he just used his own face as a battering ram. Oh, fuck, it's Duke! Ew. Ew. You remember Duke from Echo? You know, in Leo's route, he just straight up kidnapped Chase. No, he kidnapped Leo. He kidnapped Leo and held him in his basement while Brian kidnapped Chase. Yeah, that fucker. Hey. Dev doesn't know what to say, mostly because he doesn't know why the guy just did what he did. Meanwhile, Artie moans on the ground, a paw to his forehead. That at least gives Dev a starting point. You can't just fucking do that, man! What are you doing? Adjusting things. He shows off a pair of pliers. Devon can hear his heart pounding in his ears as he sees a toolbox balanced on the bumper. What? Give me that! Devon starts to step forward to take the pliers from the man, but a flash of light blinds him. Dev had never been hit before, not as an adult at least. His size usually deterred anyone from trying anything, and he normally didn't get into these kinds of situations anyway. So this moment takes what feels like a long time for his brain to process. He stumbles on his feet, paws uselessly outstretched, trying to refocus when something explodes in his stomach that seems to expand like a balloon under his rib cage. The bear doubles over in shock, feeling like a vacuum has opened up in his torso before he falls to his knees. The long, strained sound of agony seems to go on forever as his diaphragm refuses to work. Only now does he realize he's been punched in the stomach as well, and while he's had the wind knocked out of him before, it's nothing like this. How's that, fat ass? Devon goes on droning in response, a small part of him considering that he might actually suffocate to death. Holy hell, man, what the fuck is your problem? Oh, you want to know? Devon, still with his face toward the ground, only hears movement above him. That's followed by a gasp from Artie. I have a problem with sick fucks like you two dicking around this place because you think it's funny. Dev is only now starting to get his breath back, but his eyes are locked on the gun in his face, and his insides turn to water, which has nothing to do with the punch. Where were you 5 years ago, huh? Back home with mommy and daddy living in your middle-class houses? Thought you'd come out and see what the crazy meth heads are up to, how they all killed each other. The man adjusts his grip on the gun, and Dev almost chokes with fear. Either the old man is going to shoot him, or he's going to do it on accident. Is this still fun? Artie's rough breathing next to Devon is the only thing that lets the bear know that the cat is still there with him. Dude, listen. We didn't mean... You listen, dude. I gave you assholes a whole fucking day to get the fuck out, but you're still here. Since you're so goddamn comfortable, hope you don't mind being stuck here for good. With that, the man turns away, sticking his gun down his pants before calmly collecting his tools, closing the toolbox, walking off the road straight through the sagebrush. Oh, holy shit! It's a 7-mile walk to the freeway. I suggest you leave the moment it gets cool. And that's friendly advice. There's much worse out here than me, you stupid fucks. Artie bends over Devon, who slowly stumbles to his feet, hunched over, his stomach aching far worse than his muscle, which he wipes clean of blood. Fuck, man, what did he do? Artie looks back to the car, and even from here, Dev can see the wiring sticking out from the hood. I can't fucking believe this! Hang on, I'm getting Cam. Alright, man, I'll see if this thing is even worth coming back for. Devon jogs up the road, grunting with each step, each one sending a jolt through his stomach. While the weasel hadn't moved in this direction, Dev isn't taking chances. He also needs to make sure that the coyote is... Cameron? He shouldn't be panicking, not yet, but that feeling is starting up again, and after having a gun pointed in his face, Cameron! No answer. Dev heaves for air, looking around until he sees a flash of flannel through a motel window. He's next to it in a second, unable to fit, so he pries back boards with his bare paws. Then he pushes through and tumbles into thick darkness. Oh, fuck. Not smart, Devon. That wasn't smart. Despite having seen this monster in some form or another for over 15 years now, Cameron realizes he never tried to move towards it. In the beginning, he tried to run away, of course, but it ended up following him. It never moved when he was looking at it, but the second he looked away and back again, it would reappear closer, usually at that 20 to 30 foot distance. When he learned to ignore it, it just sort of blended into the background and he almost stopped noticing it. As Cameron squeezes through the boards covering the window, he's only a few feet away from the thing. He realizes that if he makes contact with it, that if it's solid, then he won't know what to think. He never even considered that it might be real. But now as those unnaturally long claws dangle from their sleeves of the raincoat, Cameron starts to worry. As he moves those last few feet, though, Raincoat Monster starts to dissolve into the dim light of the room, and the coyote is inside. It happens in a way that makes Cameron think of a mirage, but the creature is still here, now across the room, against the wall, its ever-present deranged grin plastered to its dark-furred face. Oh, it's not Flynn. Cameron moves towards it again, slowly this time, the creature still seemingly frozen, but in a way a real person would try to appear frozen. This creature is almost like an imitation of the one he's gotten to know so well, the one that almost became a companion of sorts in his childhood. About halfway across the dark, cluttered motel room, Raincoat Monster bends sideways, almost like he's going to do a cartwheel towards the bathroom door. Its heavily clawed hands don't move, though, and instead just keep bending like a bridge, like an arch, and then it slips into the darkness of the bathroom. Cameron stares, the feeling of unease growing. Of course shit like this always makes him uneasy. Makes him feel fucking crazy. What just happened now? It felt deliberate, like he's being toyed with somehow. Raincoat Monster had always toyed with him plenty of times before, especially the first time he saw it. It was his own mind doing it, after all. What makes him feel nervous now is that it seems like there's something else behind it. Almost like whatever was behind his first vision in that other motel room is behind this as well. I just noticed something. Cameron is looking directly at us. Fucking Sonic the Hedgehog ass. So he should leave, right? Whatever that is doesn't seem to have very good intentions. All it seems to want to do is fuck with him. If it is the same thing that hijacked his first vision, then it could look like anything. It disguised itself as Dev and said awful things to him. Disguised itself. Was that even a disguise? Is it possible Devon somehow made that call? That would be the most plausible explanation aside from malicious ghosts being real, something he never believed until now. He trusts Dev, though. Cameron looks at the boarded window. Why did Artie and Devon abandon him like this? Is this part of Devon's investigation still? Is this a setup of some kind, like a test? Cameron continues to just stand in the middle of the motel room, staring around himself. This isn't right. He's not making sense. These thoughts don't make sense. But there are some connections, and he can't deny that something about the whole situation is off. The voices, the whispering, it continues to ebb and flow, and there's a slight electronic quality to it. It's not impossible that someone could have planted a speaker in this room to make him think he's hearing the voices of ghosts. After all, Devon had been so adamant that he not come back to the motel with him to gather his equipment. That would have been the perfect opportunity. He tries to listen to them, but they blend together and mumble quietly, and he can't make anything out. If this is a setup, then Raincoat Monster could be a real person, someone in a costume, or... Something is wrong. Suddenly thinking itself is becoming difficult. He's still high after all. But at the same time, things are suddenly making at least some sort of sense. If this is some kind of sick joke, that would explain a lot. A distant chuckle breaks through the hushed whispers. It sounds kind of like Devon. Devon? Cameron points his ears toward the bathroom. Artie? Guys, you can't really be doing this to me, right? His voice is weak, unsure, and afraid. Something creaks to his left and the coyote jumps, staring wide-eyed. Guys? In the back of his mind, Cameron knows that whatever this is, whatever is going on inside or outside his mind is not good. He needs to get out. Suddenly something starts pulling at the boards of the window. Cameron gasps, stumbling back, an explosion of fear taking over in a way he's never experienced before. Cameron, you're in there, rat. You okay? Looks like Devon, but the coyote is moving for the bathroom. Because he's not completely sure. And even if that really is Dev. Cameron pulls the door to the bathroom closed and fumbles with the knob until he finds and presses a push lock that somehow still works. Cameron? Honey, are you in here? Cameron keeps quiet, pressing his paws to his muzzle, suppressing his instinctual urge to respond. Cameron? Cameron listens to the bear's heavy footsteps on the ruined door. Then the doorknob to the bathroom vibrates violently. Cameron yelps. Stop! I'm sorry! I need to figure things out right now! There's a pause, one that seems to go on for a very, very long time. What? Devon's voice is equal parts confused and concerned. Baby. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What happened? I don't know. Why did you guys leave me? Leave you? I'm right here. Looked up the road and you were just gone. Oh, Cameron, something happened. It's a little complicated, but I can tell you about it on the way out. I'm sorry I left when I said I'd watch you, but we need to go right now. Something happened. It's a little complicated. Cameron, please open the door. Devon lets out a nervous laugh. You're freaking me the fuck out right now, honey. That only puts Cameron more on edge, and Devon thinks he's the one that's acting strange. You're freaking me the fuck out. Why did you even bring me here? Is Artie there too? Another long, horrible pause. When Dev talks again, his tone has changed completely, like he's being very careful with his words. Like Cameron is crazy. Honey, can you tell me what's wrong? Did something happen? You tell me, Devon! You're really starting to worry me, baby. Devon's voice cracks. Cameron doesn't know what to say. He doesn't have to think of what to say because at that point, something rakes painfully down his back. It's like a giant set of claws and Cameron gasps, then screams as another set of claws grip over the top of his head. He'd completely forgotten about Raincoat Monster, but even if he remembered, he never thought it could touch him. Cameron, open the door. Open! God damn! Stand back, Cam! The air seems to explode as the flimsy motel bathroom door splinters with ease, Dev having kicked it in. Some light filling the bathroom now. Cameron sees that he's fighting with nothing. He thought it had to be Artie. Suddenly the bear's grabbing him, trying to hold him or pin him, and Cameron just struggles, trying to pull away. Cameron, what happened? Please calm down. Just let me go! Cameron is crying out, and it's making him gasp for air. Let's breathe, Cam. No! Stop doing this to me! Just let me go! Doing what to you? What happened? I don't know! I don't fucking know! Cameron's struggles becomes more wild, kicking out and fighting with Dev's much stronger grip. What the fuck? Dev seems to say to himself almost in a whisper, as if unable to believe what's happening. Cameron isn't able to either. None of this is real, is it? Huh? Did you set this up? To make me believe or something? What? How would I do that? Speakers or costumes? I don't know. Ow! You're hurting me! Devon lets Cameron go finally, though he tries to hold on to him to make him look at the bear. But Cameron takes the opportunity to escape, running right for the window, much easier to get after Devon's entry. Cameron? I'm sorry, I just need to think. Cameron can hear Devon crying now, but he can't stop. He needs to get out, he needs to get away. He falls clumsily through the window, and as he stands up, he gasps as he comes face to face with Artie. Suddenly, he notices how similar the color of his fur is to Raincoat Monster. Whoa, dude, you okay? What's going on? I can hear you guys yelling all the way. Artie trails off as Cameron backs away from the cat, keeping him in view until he can run away, up the road to somewhere that's not here. Dev sobs as he fumbles to get out of the window, wondering if he's daydreaming. This can't be happening. He looks around the parking lot, but all he sees is Artie. Where did he go? Artie points wordlessly, and Devon jogs up the length of the parking lot to look around the motel. Cameron is nowhere in sight. Devon stares for a while, hoping to see Cameron pop up behind one of the dilapidated structures, but he doesn't. Devon, what happened? Something's wrong with Cameron. I know, he looked totally freaked out. Did that meth head get to him too or something? No, I don't know, he's not making sense. He's not thinking right. What do you mean? Devon takes a deep, shuddering breath, still staring, realizing Cam might have already made it to the dirt road off Main Street. Devon rubs his face vigorously with both paws. He said something about us setting him up. Setting him up? For what? I don't know. It's like he's completely not in his right state of mind or something. Devon stops himself from saying completely lost it because that just sounds wrong. Seeing no sign of Cameron, Devon suddenly feels panic bloom in his chest. What if Cameron is so far gone that he's gone running off into the desert? He would die. Shit, are you sure he ran this way? Devon starts walking quickly up the road, looking at each abandoned structure, scanning the desert landscape all the while. His panic has settled into a dull, persistent feeling of dread, and his crying is mostly under control, just sniffling every now and then. Artie follows behind him. Yeah, positive, man. He was running, though. Shit. Hey, you know, he just looked really emotional. Doesn't he have panic attacks? Yeah, but that wasn't just a panic attack. Something else is going on. Has he done this before? No. Isn't he on medication? No, man, he's not on medication. But wasn't he? Dude, this isn't helping anything right now. Sorry, it's just that I remember him telling me he was on an antipsychotic back in college. Devon's blood runs cold. I think it was just like antidepressants or something. How would he even tell you? Cameron? Devon's voice echoes hollowly up the street, unanswered. He was on both, I'm pretty sure. He was talking to Maria about it since she's been on a bunch of them for her bipolar disorder. I think he was just looking for advice on how to deal with the side effects. And I was a psych major, so there's that. Were you? Cameron! Duh, I was a failed STEM major. Behavioral sciences are on the next step. Despite that being something Artie might normally say, it sounds forced, like he's trying to keep the mood light. All Devon couldn't think about right now is that he couldn't have even bothered to know what medications his boyfriend was taking and why. He just knew they made him feel like shit. So when Cameron said he wanted to stop whatever it was he was taking, Devon encouraged him. And Cameron seemed happier after that. Anyway, I'm not saying he's like schizophrenic. Antipsychotics can be combined with antidepressants for just plain old depression sometimes. I think he's just panicking a little. I probably would if I went into that motel alone. No. Cameron was panicking, sure, but he was accusing Devon of setting him up, of tricking him. Cameron didn't trust him. And that's something Devon has never seen before. And remember, with his tolerance, he's probably still pretty high. Could just be paranoid. Devon gasps and Arturo stares at him, frozen. Then rage and horror explodes in Devon's chest. The fucking weed! Whoa, what happened? You fucking know he has problems, was on medication in college, and you just let him get stoned. Artie stares. Well, I didn't remember until just now, and besides, if that's what's making him freak out, it's gonna wear off. Nope, he said I was tricking him. He didn't trust me, Artie. He said I was fucking planting speakers so we could hear voices. Artie continues to stare, but he doesn't say anything this time. Devon's doing his best to avoid saying what he thinks is happening. That's not just panic, that's more than just that. Fuck, man, his mom died because of this shit. What if he's wandering off into the middle of the desert right now and... When he had researched psychosis, he came across plenty of stories just like this. The way so many of them ended, Devon feels like he's about to throw up. After a few seconds of silence, Artie clears his throat. Listen, we don't know anything yet, but if I cause this to happen, I'm sorry. Either way, I'm going to help you find your man, okay? It's only been 5 minutes. Devon starts to calm down a bit, breathing more evenly. Like I said, my girlfriend is bipolar, and even though I know it's not exactly the same, she's had moments like this too, and we always come out all right. So how about we look for 20, maybe 30 minutes? I'm sure we'll find him. If we don't, though, I'm going to run my ass back up the road until I get cell service and call 911, okay? Dev takes a shuddering breath. Yeah, okay, let's go. There's no way. Cameron shakes his head back and forth, unwilling to believe that Dev, his boyfriend, the person he loves most, would do this to him. But why? Devon is the one that wants to leave, that wants to protect him from this nightmarish town. How would this help at all, making all the ghosts up? Devon truly wants to understand what's happened to Lupita, where she is. Nowhere. So he'd want Cameron's visions to be true. Unless it's both. He couldn't have been involved in the vision he had by the lake, right? Or what he heard in the forest. Those were real. Cameron feels it deep down that they had to have been real. He couldn't have made up that recounting of the forest creature, of the girl being murdered. Maybe Devon was worried Cameron would give up if he didn't see anything, and wanted to make sure by hanging himself in the closet. By creating one of the worst moments in Cameron's life. Devon would never do that. Would never think to do that. As he's thinking, there's something flickers in Cameron's vision. It's hard to describe, but there's a vividness to what he's seeing. And then the lighting begins to change, just like it did next to the lake. The coyote stops, rigid and apprehensive, not really interested in having visions at the moment. He doesn't have a say in the matter, though. Ah, fuck. This time, the lighting takes on such a surreal, ominous, blood-red glow that even Cameron thought he was prepared. He definitely isn't. He stands in the unnatural light, feeling a bit sick, but then realizes he's actually someone else, just like when he saw the girl's life end. But he seems to snap into his host and looks down at the body of a creature he can't quite make out. This person he's become breathes heavily, doubled over, his giant paws on his knees, feeling sick. He'd never killed someone before. This little fag deserved it at least. He spits on the body, then suddenly realizes he needs to get rid of it. As far as he knows, no one knows that he's here, all the way from Peyton, and if he can get rid of the body, no one will ever know he did it. He prepares himself, finding it easier and easier to come to terms with the murder. The thrill he got from it, the swooping feeling in his chest that immediately made his... The thrill he got from it, the swooping feeling in his chest that immediately made his dick get hard. It's a bit worrying even to him. With a deep breath, he leans down, but then suddenly feels like he's being watched. Slowly, he looks up. It hovers over the road, watching him. He'd seen a handful of UFOs, all of them while he was in Echo. He'd come to realize that it wasn't aliens or whatever the fuck people believed in. It was a supernatural or something, like a ghost. He suddenly thinks back to last week when that space shuttle blew up while his class watched it on TV. He'd been the one to laugh when it happened, not really because it was funny, but because it was so unexpected and so boring up until that point. To him, that's the only way space could be haunted with ghosts. But for some reason, he doesn't think anything living, or at least anything that was living, is involved with this. What he realized is that those crafts, made of metal, glass, and covered in lights, are empty. As far as he's concerned, they're no different from the ghosts. Ghosts that weren't people at all. They're hollow shells, only there to feed on the sick feeling he got when seeing them, only there to watch him so that the small amount of guilt he had might grow just a little bit bigger. And tonight, aliens would visit him to torture him, to violate him. Not really aliens, but the same thing as the ghosts that people see in this town. It's all the same. And so he ignores it as he gets back to work, and it hovers over his head, even as he feels its red eyes on the back of his neck. Cameron isn't sure what to think right now. A UFO? What? While the shadow creature in the forest had been strange, he hadn't seen it. He only heard someone recounting it. Cameron assumed that man in his vision wasn't in his right mind, maybe misinterpreted what he was experiencing. But this... a full-blown craft in the sky above a dead body. Now Cameron is almost positive he's being toyed with, like Raincoat Monster in the motel room. It just makes him feel like he's going crazy, and it reminds him that, for some inexplicable reason, he thought Dev might be in on it. How did he even consider that Dev could be involved in this? Besides, even now, despite it almost being completely silent aside from the crunch of his footsteps on the gravel road. The voices are insistent, even louder, and how could he hide speakers out here in the middle of nowhere? Now that he's focusing on those voices, he can actually start making out some words, sentence fragments. Singing, they sang. Sins of cities are always. You piece of shit. Stop doing. Every time he catches a new voice, it fades away before it finishes what it's saying. Cameron stops so he can hear better, ears up, but the voices fade back to barely noticeable whispers on the wind. Cameron remembers those ghost hunting shows he'd watched a few times, the way they were always trying to communicate. So he clears his throat awkwardly. Hello? Are you trying to talk to me? You have something you'd like to say? Cameron isn't even sure he should be saying you because the voices are such a mixture of many. But why would they all congregate in this one dirt road? By the way, they seem to have moved on, so Cameron starts walking again. It's something we should see. You think you're special, stupid shit. Again, Cameron stops, and so do the voices. Hello? Silence. The words don't even really make sense. If the ghosts are trying to talk to him, wouldn't they say something useful? Maybe they just don't like him. And if it's a replaying of something in the past, why are they just babbling nonsense? Cameron sighs and takes a step. You're stupid. The coyote freezes, suddenly making a connection. He looks down at his foot, then brushes it back and forth over the gravel. Stupid sack of shit. Cameron stares. It's coming from the gravel from the sounds of it anyway. A gentle wind tickles over the fur in his ears and the whispers continue. Suddenly, he's back in his trailer with his mother. He's laying back on the couch, nodding off after snorting his pills. His mother, on the other side of the trailer, is kneeling amongst the trash. She'd always been meticulously clean, emphasizing that while they might live in a trailer, they can still make it look nice. But over the past year, she seemed to care less and less, and now dishes were used and never cleaned, boxes of takeout opened and left where they were eaten. Cameron himself couldn't be bothered to tidy up. It's easier now that his mom doesn't give a fuck. He can do his drugs right in front of her now. The post-it notes and strips of fabric tied to every arch his mother spotted, even to things Cameron is pretty sure aren't arches, made the place look like a disaster anyway. What does bother him, though, as he watches her through half-lidded eyes, is the way she looks. Her fur is disheveled and sticking up in different places, and she's in the same clothes she's been in for a week. She started to have a strange odor about her, but Cameron felt too weird telling his own mom she smells bad. It's sad. He almost wishes she'd scream at him and slap him like she did whenever she found his drugs. Almost. Because right now he feels so good and she seems happy enough to listen to that fan. Cameron covers his muzzle, heart pounding, listening to the whispering wind. No, no. His eyes blur with tears. He turns around because he's worried someone might be watching him and his feet scrape the gravel. Sadness seems to always... Cameron covers his ears, feeling the now familiar rising tide of panic in his chest. He's going crazy. Just like his mother, he's losing his mind. But his mother changed over the course of months. This is so sudden. He's never heard voices before. Or has he? That hallucination he'd had of Devon hanging, that was a voice. That could have been a dream too. Now Cameron's breathing is really starting to get out of control, and he wants to run back to Devon and apologize just so they can hold each other again. Of course Devon wouldn't fuck with him over this, and Cameron can't understand why he'd thought that. It seemed like a possibility just 5 minutes ago, but something holds him from running back right now. That's because if he's crazy, he doesn't want Dev to see it. Sure, he'd had a few nervous breakdowns and panic attacks in the first few years of their relationship, but that's normal crazy. This is actually crazy. It's psychotic. And while Dev would hold him, comfort him, take him away from this place, who's to say what would happen after that? Behind his outgoing nature and warm smile, Dev would be doubting their relationship. He already is. He would be worn down by Cameron's deteriorating mental state, his deteriorating hygiene, the deterioration of the man he once knew as the spiraling into delusions deepens. Stop it. Stop it. I'm not Mom. No, but you're her son. That voice, the one that comes from inside his head, the one that doesn't feel like his inner voice, the one that won't shut the fuck up. Cameron is walking back the way he came, back toward Devon, toward what he knows is real and safe. But is he? Yes. Even though he's scared, he says it confidently, and strangely enough, he feels what seems like a pause on the voice's end. Like it's not quite sure how to respond. Good. Cameron thinks, this time with his own thoughts. Make sure to walk to the side of the road, the dusty, somewhat rocky surface, preferable to the whispering gravel. Devon keeps trying to figure out how things could have gone so wrong. His feelings earlier about an impending catastrophic failure now feel fully validated. It's happened. He took those courses emphasizing engineering ethics. He studied cases in which every step of a disaster was detailed and exactly how each step was preventable. He took great care in his career to make sure he would never become one of those case studies, that the machines he helped design were as safe as possible. Well, he'd already thought this. It's the fact he didn't even know Cameron was on an antipsychotic at some point, just that he was on meds. He knew Cameron's problems were concerning, and he reassured himself with the crash course in abnormal psychology. Psychology. While he was never as openly disdainful as his peers, the idea of trying to explain complex behavior through endless theories was frustrating, to say the least. He chalked it up to him being one of those people who simply needed a solid answer, a number. But he also remembers those months when Cameron was on his medication, how one night he'd had Dev sit with him in the arts building on campus. It was late and no one was around as Cameron almost angrily bashed on the keys of the grand piano, asking him if any of it sounded good. Dev said it sounded fine. Then the coyote finally broke down, saying he couldn't write music anymore. That emotionally things had become black and white. That there was a wall between him and who he was. That the medication he was taking was the reason why he fucked up with his chance with the label. And as Cameron sobbed over the piano, Devon decided that psychology doesn't know a thing about how people work. That psychiatrists might as well be drug dealers with an office. It had been the same for his mother after what happened with Lupita. Even now, she struggles with her addiction to benzodiazepines, somehow carelessly prescribed to her so she'd stop wailing all the time. To Devon, it seemed like psychology never moved past lobotomies. Instead, they just converted it into pills. And he never really changed that mindset. It's why he never encouraged Cameron to seek some sort of help. Especially if he didn't want it. What he took away from his research is that hallucinations of any kind are serious concern and should never be brushed off. But he had done just that with the idea that maybe there's more to hallucinations for some people than psychology will ever understand. Maybe it's ghosts. Devon wants to hit himself. In fact, he wishes the Weasel Man had added a kick in the nuts to go with the gut punch. Something else to remind him how utterly stupid he is. The concept of paranormal is so far from his mind at this point that he doubts he'll ever dabble in it again. See, there he is, dude! Devon looks up, and sure enough, he sees Cameron running toward them. The smile of relief on the coyote's face seems to break the dam of emotion in Dev's chest. That wild look he'd had earlier, the one that had him looked as if he were a stranger, is gone. The next thing he knows, he's running too. He wonders why Cam is running on the rough rocks and thorny vegetation, but Devon joins him and Cameron runs into his chest with a thump. Sorry, I don't know what the hell I was... Stop, you're fine. That's all I care about. You're fine. But I don't know if I am. You are. You're here and you're fine and we're going home, okay? Yeah. Be careful! We're gonna stop a bit for the ad when I break from the ads. Just never stop hugging him. Devon, rocking them back and forth on the uneven rocky ground, sends them to the dirt, but Devon just pulls Cameron into his lap, still hugging him tightly. Meanwhile, Artie is looking away, seeming to have spotted something very interesting in the miniature forest just off the road, though he's smiling. So sorry for bringing her here. I don't know what else to say. I'm just sorry. No, it's my fault for thinking I was special, that I had superpowers or something. None of this is your fault, okay? Cameron stays quiet and Devon is content to just hold the coyote, both of them sniffling. Meanwhile, the coyote plucks that sagebrush that's rubbing up against him, which he holds to his nose. You know how I hate the desert? Devon tries to adjust to the jarring shift in conversation, but goes along with it, assuming Cameron just wants to focus on other things for now. I'm starting to hate it too, actually. Cameron inhales the sprig of sagebrush in his paw again. Well, I love the smell of sagebrush, the way the whole desert smells like it. I suppose it's alright. There's something about it that reminds me of Christmas. That's weird coming from someone who grew up surrounded by pine forests. Like when we went up to my dad's cabin, now that's a smell I can get behind. I guess I got too used to it, and sagebrush is just different. The desert version of pine forests. Pines can grow in the desert. Then I mean the ones in the northwest. We should go to your dad's cabin again, that was fun. Oh really? I thought you didn't like it. In all honesty, Dev hadn't either. He had meant to take Cameron ice fishing like his father had taken him so many times. The second they got there, though, he realized how woefully underprepared he was. I complain too much, but we should go in the summer so we don't have to dig through 4 feet of snow just to open the cabin. Dev almost laughs at the memory of being so exhausted by the time he opened the cabin that his plans to romantically make love to Cameron went out the window the second they got in bed. Yeah, I'll ask my dad about it when we get back. I just want to be somewhere with you away from this. Yeah, far away from this. Dev, I don't think I'm actually psychic. I had hallucinated a UFO a little bit ago. That's not real. You just saw one? Well, in my mind, I was someone else. I saw a dead body and I saw a spacecraft in the sky. It didn't make sense. I see. Well, won't have to worry about that anymore once we're out here. I really, really hope we won't. Dev isn't going to ask him to elaborate or tell him that UFOs are commonly reported in Neko, especially in times when supernatural activity is at its peak. While he wants to convince Cameron he isn't mentally ill, he knows that's not what he should be doing right now. Even though he wants to deny it, he doesn't know if it's true or not. He believes Cameron is psychic, but that's taken a backseat to the possibility that something else is happening too. And Dev can't be the one to figure that out for Cameron. It's the hum! It's the hum! He can only be there to support him. Oh shit, I think Artie's in the forest. Eh? Sure enough, Artie's disappeared. Oh yeah, well, he'll be alright, we'll just call for him. Not really a big forest anymore. Dev? That's where the shotgun guy is. Ah, fuck, I forgot. Dev stares at the tree line hopefully. Dev, we have to get him. Well, he shouldn't be far at all. Anyway, we can warn him real quick. Let's keep our voices down. They get up and move toward the forest. Dev wants to tell Cameron to wait on the road, but at the same time he's worried about losing him again right after finding him. We're going to leave off here tonight. Well, stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.